component fbx import, so it's in. Sometimes the model you bring in is really far away from 0, 0. In that case, you probably have to open the outliner, kind of like a window. You can see a list of objects. So you have to go to this window, so you can see all the objects from the Revit program. Another thing I want to mention is the green line is actually the camera. I don't need this. Delete that. Another thing I want to mention is Maya is Y up, so the y-axis is facing up. Revit is Z up. So sometimes when you transfer file in, you may see the geometry rotate 90 degrees, just because one is Y up, another is Z up. It's not really a big deal because when we have this geometry, we can easily rotate 90 degrees. Right? So the quick way to do that is let me group them first. So edit group, right? Then I can go ahead, center the pivot, so the center point of that group is snapping back to the centroid of the entire group. So by this way, I can easily rotate the model to whatever orientation. You could type the number if you like. So I want to rotate 90 degrees. I can type 90 here. So it's rotate exactly to the orientation you need. Right? So you got this basic geometry here in Maya. You also see another issue is everything's triangleized, right? In Revit, you don't see this triangle. The reason is it brings in as a polygon mesh. So every single face is actually made up by 3 edges, and each edge is made up by 2 points. So that is actually hierarchy in Maya. If I right-click the model, you can actually see this hierarchy: edge, vertex, and face. Right? So for example, if I choose vertex, that is a point, I can pick up the point. I can move the point. You can see the model will be deformed. So if I pick up the edge, I can move the edge. You'll see the model deformed. So it's kind of same as Revit, but it gives you more flexibility. You can control in 3 levels: vertex, edge, and face. For example, face, I can choose a face here. I move the face. You'll see the model deformed. Right? But the problem is right now everything's triangle based. I don't really like that way. So you have to use actually a command. Let me turn on the outline again. Select everything. So you have to use a command. The name is quadrulate, to kind of convert all the every 2 triangles into one class. So basically what that means is you get rid of this diagonal edge. If this 2 triangle is coplanar, if they are flat in the same face, they'll be merged as one. So that's the meaning of quadrulate. So I would do that. It doesn't really guarantee it will work. It works for some face, but not every single face, which sometimes you have to manually select the edge and delete. That is not really good. So you can select that edge and delete. The goal is you want to have a clean model. This is one single face, and then when you move, you see the update. Right? You only need to do this for the parts you want to deform. You know what I mean? If you don't want this one be adjustable, you don't have to worry about the triangle or not. But if you want to move them, it's better to, for example, I want this one be somehow I can control. In that case, I don't want to have these effects, right? This is triangle. I want to delete the edge right here. So you got a clean face. If I move it, you'll see that the entire face is very consistent. Okay, so this is the process how you can bring model in Maya and kind of play with the different options. I will actually construct the same model from scratch in Maya just to show you if you don't like use Revit, you can do this pretty easily in Maya as well. Okay. Yes. If you take this back to Revit, it will be triangulated. Yes, unfortunately. So usually I will transfer Revit to Maya. But from Maya to Revit, you can get the geometry, but you lost that kind of control on these three levels. There's no control on vertex, edge, or face. Yeah, I could transfer that entire thing. Right, correct. Yeah, there are some options though. I can work with you guys for the alternative way. Yeah, that's a possibility there. But right now, this is really basic stuff in Maya. I probably, let me see. How about this? I will just keep this model because I kind of like it. Let me use this guy to just build more detail in Maya. I think you can get the same idea. The first thing I will do is merge everything as one single object. So right now there are 4 different parts, right? So I will use a command. The name is Kanban, which is available in Mesh. Kanban here. Okay. So it's kind of like group, kind of like a union in the Boolean operation, but it's actually easier. It doesn't calculate the intersections. It just merge everything as one single object. So here we go. You merge as one. If I select, you see this is one single object. All right. I will do some kind of cleanup work. Let's see. I'm going to. I don't like this edge. I will delete that edge. I don't like this edge. I don't like this edge. I think this edge I probably can. Yeah, leave this there. Okay. So have this shape. Then I'm going to delete the history. So go to delete history. The reason is Maya is a parametric program. It remembers every single action you did. So in the future, you can go back to the history and manipulate the parameters. Then you can see the result update. So that's really cool stuff. It's just like Grasshopper. But the problem is every single action, if you remember, the file will get bigger, it's getting slower and slower. So clear the history is like I compress all the actions into the mesh, into the XYZ location of the points. You cannot go back after this point, but the file is more, I would say, efficient to work with. So I delete history. You see all the history nodes is gone. You got a pretty clean model. I like it. Then I will do more detail. Let's see. I want to select the face. Maybe this face. I'm going to do some extrude. It's some really simple actions you can do in Maya. Then I can, extrude a new face. Make it here. I will extrude one more time. Just to, this is how you can build detail. It's pretty straightforward. I will extrude one more time. It's just like SketchUp, right? And extrude one more time inside. All right, so that's the model looks like now. And I can go to vertex. This is actually the points. I can move the points. Probably doesn't make sense to do that. But I can scale. You can do lots of stuff uh, in this program. All right, I think I'm happy with it. So I got this shape. Let me display the shading with wireframe, so you can see that's the geometry looks like. Okay, so my shading device, maybe I have something kind of provide the protection for the glass, maybe something here, or maybe a AC stuff, uh, or maybe a balcony. You can think about different possibility. All right, but so far this is like one single geometry. There's no parameter. There's no iterations, no variations, right? So next thing I'm going to do is duplicate this component into multiple variations. All right, and then I will build up a relation between this object. So for example, I can use Control D. I duplicate this guy. Control D, which is a shortcut, do another one. So I have three. I know this one is original. This two is a new version. Okay, it's a new duplication. So for this guy, I'm going to choose all the vertex. I will move this really low. Okay. At the same time, I'm going to probably scale. For this version, I'm going to pick the vertex. I will move up. I may be missing some points. Okay. And then I'm going to scale up a little bit. So I have two different variations, right? It's all based on the original one. So one, I shrink the balcony. Another, I enlarge the balcony. So these are two, I would say, the children or the offspring from the original one. Then I'm going to build up a relationship between these three objects. So first thing I'm going to do is pick up the first, I would say this way. These two are parents. This is parent A, parent B. Okay. This one is the original one. I will say this is a children. Okay, it's a child. So I'm going to pick up the parent A first. Right. Let me switch the display to object display. I don't want to select the points or edge. I want to select the entire object. Switch here first. So I pick up the parent first, right? Holding Shift, pick up the children. Then I'm going to use a tool in the animation group, create a blend, which is here, create blend shape. We're done. As a result, if you take a look at the history of these children, right? It has this action name is blend shape. You can see a value is 0. And the target is poly surface 2. Alright, so what this means? The poly surface 2 is actually the name of the parent. And the 0 means the weight. If I change the weight from 0 to 1, see what happened? It morphs completely to parent A. If I change to 0.5, it's halfway morphed to that target. If I choose 0, it has no any influence from parent A. Make sense? Right? If I repeat this process, I select parent B, hold Shift, right? The children. Then I will redo the blend again. So if I select the children, you can see it has 2 blend shape attached to the history. So in the blend shape 1, that's another parent, right? So I can change this to 1. Actually, this is 2. I will change this back to 0.5. I will change the second blend to 0.5. See what happened? It has the blending effects from both parents. Okay. This process can be easier control if you open this window. The name is the blend shape window, which actually allow you to have a slider to control the weight, how you want to shift from one to another. So if I go to the blend shape controllers, I will change the orientation to horizontal. It's easier to see. So right now, this is the children, right? I can drag the slider to 0, 0. So if I drag the first one, it's morphing to parent A. This is morphing to parent B. You have this kind of parametric control on these components. Okay. Another really cool thing about this process is because everything is based on the history. If I think, well, parent A, I think the shape doesn't make sense. I want to change the shape to something else. As soon as you update parent A, you'll see that children will go with it. If the weight is 50%, you got halfway. Okay, so you can use a target to sort of control. See, in the parent A, I want to see maybe this face. I want the face be here. I can move the face. I can move that face there. I can do whatever I want. So see, these guys completely follow this one. See that? This is how this relationship is working. And for this guy, parent B, I could, I don't know, maybe scale. So we have this pyramid stuff. And then I can, drag it. You can see it's morphing to that. I can do maybe 50% here, 50% there. Right? You kind of negotiate these two solutions. The same process, if you recall, in Grasshopper I did last class, is you have two images. Right? You use the image to control the rotation of the aperture. There's some way you can blend these two images to negotiate to get the new pattern. So that negotiation is actually through the color of the image. You can do that in Photoshop with layer. But here, this negotiation is happened by this slider. How much weight you want to assign to each parent. That makes sense. So it's slightly different from Revit. Revit, the way you can make one object kind of morph to another one is by define these individual parameters, and each one you adjust, they kind of independent, right? But in Maya, you can kind of compress all the variables into a parent-children relationship. That makes sense. I think this is kind of like a new way of parametric thinking. If you get it, you can definitely apply to many different software. All right. So let me kind of stop